the fundamental issue that people will always have is that as far as 2013 or 2014, I don't remember exactly what year, PP, it exists, okay? I don't know if you guys know this, but PP does exist, okay? And it is a metric that determines your rank in the system, okay? In the leaderboards. And here's the thing with PP existing, is that PP maps get attention, okay? They exist. And I could also say, and like plays, because people really care about their maps getting plays, okay? If the PP maps get attention and plays, and there are mappers who are interested in getting attention and plays in their maps, then you have PP mappers are incentivized. Wait, how do you write incentivize? Is it Z or S? I'm gonna say Z. I don't really know. PP mappers are incentivized to map PP. Why? Because their maps get attention and plays. So, recapping, PP exists, and PP maps get attention and plays, so PP mappers are incentivized to map PP, okay? Now, what is the problem with PP mappers mapping PP? The problem is that players also play PP maps, right? And it creates a meta. When there's a PP meta, people are bored. Why are people bored? Because they see that every top player is playing basically the same map, but like on different songs or different lengths and slightly different styles, you know? And people get bored. People get bored of one meta. So when every top player is playing the same maps of the same skill set, people will get bored of that. Because they see the same thing over and over again, and you know, if you see the same thing over and over again, you get tired of it. You don't really care about it. You get desensitized. So for example, whenever you see Emmerich getting another 1.7k on some aim slop, you're like, you know what? You know, it's aim slop, you know? How am I supposed to care? Obviously he got a 1.7k, like that's expected, you know? He's like the best player of all time. Of course he can get a 1.7k on aim slop, you know? So, what is the solution to this? Well, a lot of players who are really unaware about how shit works, what we've tried in the past, they will just say, just don't rank the PP meta. And this is whatever it is, right? If the PP meta is speed, just don't rank speed. If the PP meta is high BPM aim, just don't rank high BPM aim. Now, it's kind of been tried. We tried this like around probably 2021 to 2023, around that time period. What happened was that if you tried to rank something that was really PP, as in like it was either really comfortable, short map, lots of diffs, jumps or speed or whatever skill sets people were able to play at that point, you would probably get a lot of posts and qualified. You'd probably get kicked if you're a BN. You'd probably get fucked up. We tried this. And what ended up happening is that people don't like this because it artificially limits what mappers can do, even if unintentionally. So obviously, it does technically work in people not ranking PP. People will rank less PP maps because it's harder to rank PP maps, you know? But at the same time, it creates an opposite problem where every rank map is like also the same, but like way more boring. The problem with this is that if you go forward in time, everybody maps the same safe, edgy maps anyway. Main point being, once you have an artificial limitation on like what is allowed to be ranked because of PP, people will just do anything they can to avoid having their maps seen as PP because people want to rank their maps. Like that's a big incentive for people. People like seeing like their maps have leaderboards and people competing on the leaderboards and shit. The problem with that incentive though is that everybody will still map the same, just in a different way. So people are still gonna map like their exact same fucking style, but like let's say it's a 1-2 jump fucking anime map, right? Instead of putting the 1-2 jumps there, they just either do like some fucking edgy forced wide angle shit where it's like, you know, this type of shit, 1-2, it's a 1-2. They force this sort of edgy anti-PP shit, or they just do the most boring shit of all time where they have a 1-2 section and they just keep like following vocals with sliders and shit as the most boring thing of all time. And it's not fun and it's low difficulty, you know? So this creates like the opposite problem of the PP meta, which is that everybody still is mapping the same, but instead of being the same PP maps, it's just the same safe edgy maps. And this was so annoying for me personally to deal with because I used to pretty much open OSU Direct and like click on some maps and like play whatever qualified or recently ranked map. But at some point I just had to stop doing that because every map I'd open would be the same. It would just be the same safe edgy TV size every single time. And it's like boring, it's not fun, it's not PP, it's not like if you want to rank up, it's really not fun. So what happens in this case is that everybody just plays old maps. Everybody plays old maps because in order for like there to be an incentive where people don't rank PP meta, then at some point PP meta has to have been ranked. So then everybody will just go back to playing these old maps, you know? So this is not a viable solution. This entire thing here is not viable. Let me just put some red over this. This is not viable as a solution for people getting bored of one meta. So that brings up the question, what is actually a viable solution, you know? Well, in my opinion, there's only really one solution. And you have to create a meta where there isn't a singular meta. Personally, if you think about it, there is technically no singular meta right now, as long as you're not like top 100. If you're below the top 100, you can really play whatever the fuck you want. You can play flow aim, you can play jumps, you can play high BPM aim, you can play no mod, you can play hard rock, you can play DT, you can play 3 mod, you can play pretty much whatever you want. But people really don't like it when at the high end, like the top players that they watch play the game and like all the highest PP plays, they don't like it when every single highest play is of the same type. They don't like it when everything is like just high BPM aim or everything is speed or everything is whatever, you know? That's the problem. But to fix that, we need to make it so at the high end, this is not true. So at the high end, there is multiple different metas that you can play, you know? So essentially the solution is create a diverse PP meta at the high end through reworks. So essentially, like, people really get pigeonholed into thinking that the way you fix this problem of having one meta is just to not rank it, and then it leads to like a different and even worse issue. When the reality is, you just need to create a diverse meta at the high end. You just make it so that there has to be balance at the highest PP plays. So if you're either playing speed, like the best speed players in the world, versus like the best aim players in the world, there should generally be a balance in their PP values. And right now, there's a mismatch. Almost all the highest PP plays are just like a high BPM aim slot. So I think it's good that they're getting nerfed. I think it's bad when they were getting nerfed like 200 PP each, which didn't make sense because that's just like making it so unplayable for no reason when the maps are still hard, you know? I think the current nerfs are pretty much fine. Maybe do like another minus 25 on all of them, but otherwise I think it's generally fine, the current rework. It's balanced enough, in my opinion. So the thing with creating a diverse PP meta at the high end is that if we go back to the beginning, PP maps get attention and plays, and PP mappers are incentivized to map PP. So if you make the PP meta diverse, then PP mappers will also be diverse. PP mappers will also be diverse because it doesn't matter what type of PP you rank, whether it's like some speed or flow aim or high BPM aim. PP mappers, there will exist an incentive for them to map each of these. So the meta will be more varied at the end. And then, you know, this is the solution. If PP mappers are diverse, then people don't complain about the meta, because if they see that, you know, even at the high end, there's high BPM aim, there's speed, there's consistency, there's like all this type of different mapping at the high end, then people will not complain anymore because they don't feel like there's a meta. They will just feel like the meta is, you know, whatever is hard, which ideally should be how it is, you know? PP is obviously not a perfect measure, but it's supposed to, in theory, be a decent marker of how hard a play is to do, you know? That's like the general idea going forward. That's why, for example, I think it's, you know, listen, you might say the ends don't justify the means, but I think genuinely having a bunch of PP mappers make a bunch of sets at once, and then those all kind of get ranked and everybody gets some PP for a while, and then eventually people realize this is overweighted and they bring out a nerf. I think this is objectively a good outcome because over time, as more and more like specific metas are exploited, the more reworks come out, the more balanced the PP system becomes. Like if you compare the current PP system compared to what it was in like 2016, it is far more fair and far more varied in what you're able to play if you want to rank up. And it's not even close, you know? Counterintuitively, it is good when people exploit the PP system because it forces out the PP devs to make a rework. And right now, there's like the infrastructure available to bring out reworks like pretty relatively quickly. Like this one only took a couple months to implement, and it's already coming out like next week or some shit, you know? For example, even like right before speed got nerfed for a bit, the reason like that nerf had to come wasn't just because of like, it wasn't because of just sidetrack day or because of a bed being good at speed. It was actually mostly because Sotarks ranked fucking Center of the Pinch, then he ranked Unwelcome School, then he ranked Dragon Queen and shit. Like those maps proved the most broken part of speed, which is whenever you had like a burst followed by like a 1/2 gap into like a burst followed by 1/2 gap into like a triple followed by 1/2. Like this is the most broken pattern in the game, or it was the most broken pattern in the game, and now it's been fixed. Why did it get fixed? Because Sotarks managed to rank like 5 of these maps, which are pretty much the exact same, and now somehow we came out of it with a better PP system, you know? The last rework was good. This next rework is definitely better than the current PP system. Like, these are objectively good reworks, and they're not being rushed. It's just that now we have the infrastructure to bring out reworks faster. Before, whenever there was a rework in the mix, it would take like probably a year to actually get all the details sorted out and then have the infrastructure to recalculate all the PP plays and then all that shit. Nowadays, Peppy is like ready for this after CSR, where he can implement a new rework reliably every like 3 or 4 months, you know? And I think that's perfectly fine. 3 or 4 months is not a very long time to have like a meta. So even if there is some super abusive, broken pattern or some shit that's being used at the high end, then it can get nerfed very quickly, you know?